Welcome to Chat Like a Native. Today, we're going to dive into something really practical for you if you're learning English.
Yeah, especially if you're past the basics and, want to sound more natural, more confident.
Exactly. We're talking about those tricky moments, like when someone says something a bit awkward, maybe kind of rude, or just confusing.
And you freeze up.
Right. How do you handle that right then, in the moment?
It's tough for intermediate learners, isn't it? It's not just understanding the words anymore. It's
Right.
the reaction speed. You get what they said, but finding the right thing to say back quickly, well, it feels impossible sometimes.
Oh, totally. And then you think of the perfect comeback, like hours later.
Exactly. In the shower, usually.
Yeah, or driving home.
Yeah.
So our goal here in this deep dive
Oh.
is to give you some tools, some ready-made phrases.
Like a little toolkit.
Yeah, exactly. We've got 6 specific, pretty versatile one-liners, you could call them.
Yeah.
Things you can use straight away in different situations.
And having these ready, it honestly makes a huge difference in how you feel or how you sound. It's about building that quick response muscle.
So why does having these matter so much? Why these one-liners?
Well, they're like little conversation life rafts, maybe.
Okay.
They help you navigate those awkward spots, maybe calm things down a bit if there's tension.
Without making it a big fight.
Right. Or just subtly show you're comfortable, you're confident with your English. It's not always about being super witty. It's often just about, well, staying in control.
And that control, it comes from reacting quickly, doesn't it?
It really does. If
Yeah.
building up a small list, like an inventory of these handy lines, means you don't have to, invent something amazing from scratch every time you feel put on the spot.
Takes the pressure off.
Big time. And that helps you sound, more natural, more fluent.
Okay, let's get into the first one. This is probably super common. Someone says something a bit rude or maybe just confusing and you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to call them out directly. Maybe it feels a bit much or inappropriate.
Right. So there's a really good, polite way to deflect. It's, I'm sorry I didn't catch that.
Ah, yes. This one's great. The magic is in pretending you didn't understand.
Feigned misunderstanding.
Exactly. You're using super polite words. I'm sorry I didn't catch that. But what you're really doing is signaling that what they said was, well, unclear, or maybe didn't make sense, or perhaps wasn't okay to say.
So you're not saying, hey, that was rude.
Yeah, no. You're more like, my brain didn't process that. Maybe try again. It subtly puts the responsibility back on them.
Ah, I see. So they have to clarify or rephrase.
Right. And in doing so, they might realize their original comment was, kind of unhelpful or off. Plus, critically, it buys you a second.
A little buffer.
Yeah, a moment to think. Do I push back? Do they backtrack? Or do I just use this pause to change the subject?
Okay, I can totally see that working.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're a few minutes late for a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and a colleague says, a bit pointedly, oh, look who finally decided to join us.
Oof. Yeah. Passive aggressive. Perfect example. Instead of getting defensive about being late, which is what they probably want,
Right.
you just look at them calmly and say, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
And what happens then?
Well, they might stumble a bit or say, oh, just kidding. Or maybe just drop it because they realize it landed badly. You've kind of diffused it without apologizing for something maybe you didn't need to.
Okay, good one for those fuzzy, maybe rude comments.
Yeah.
But what about when it's just plain annoying? Like someone just talks right over you.
Interruptions. Happens all the time, right? And it's so frustrating.
Especially if you're still building that confidence to speak up in the first place.
Absolutely. So for this, there's a brilliant comeback. It uses sarcastic politeness.
Oh.
The line is, I'm sorry for talking while you were interrupting.
Whoa. Okay, that's got some bite.
It does, but the key is you say it calmly. You're apologizing for your mistake talking, which only happened because they made the actual mistake interrupting.
Huh. It flips it right around.
Totally. It's short, easy to remember, and it catches them completely off guard. They expect you to just stop talking or maybe get mad.
Why does that surprise element work so well, do you think?
Because you're using their own expected politeness against them, but sarcastically. You're holding up a mirror to their rudeness without actually being rude yourself, like yelling or insulting them.
That makes them aware of what they just did.
Exactly, in a way that just saying, hey, you interrupted me, often doesn't. And it's only, 9 words? Easy to whip out, even if you're a bit flustered.
Yeah, I can just picture it. You're in a group chat, making a point. Someone jumps in.
Mm-hmm.
You just stop. Look at them calmly and say that.
Yep. Often the room kind of goes quiet for a second. The interrupter's just left there like, oh, right. They've been called out, but elegantly. All right, moving on. Another tricky one, maybe more in like work settings or semi-formal situations.
Okay.
When someone gives you really harsh feedback or maybe advice you didn't ask for and it feels kind of condescending. Ah, yes. Unsolicited, belittling advice. Not fun. And yeah, direct confrontation isn't always the best move there.
So what do? You need to acknowledge they said something, but kind of shut down that negativity.
Precisely. This is where a phrase like, your opinion is noted, now let's move on, is super useful. It's professional, but very firm.
It sounds really deliberate, like measured.
It is. The first bit, your opinion is noted, says, okay, I heard you. You're not just ignoring them, even if their delivery was poor.
Right. Acknowledgement.
But the second part, now let's move on, draws a clear line. It says, okay, registered, now we're changing direction. You're choosing not to get stuck in that negative loop.
So you acknowledge it, but you don't necessarily validate it or get sucked into defending yourself.
Exactly. It maintains professionalism. Think about a team meeting. Someone criticizes, say, the formatting on your report in a really nitpicky, condescending way. Instead of arguing about fonts, you can pause, say that phrase, and then immediately pivot back to the main topic. Now let's move on to the Q3 projections. It steers things back to being productive.
Okay, those first three seem great for managing the flow, deflecting things politely or firmly. Let's switch gears a bit. What about more informal situations? Like with friends.
Banter territory.
Yeah, where maybe some teasing is normal, but sometimes it goes a little too far, it crosses a line.
Right. You need something with a bit more humor, maybe a little edge, but still friendly.
Exactly. This next one is definitely for that context, delivered with a smile, ideally. I might not be perfect, but at least I'm not you.
Uh-huh. Okay, yeah, definitely use that one with people who know you well.
For sure.
It's witty, it's got that little jab, but the humor is meant to diffuse the tension, right? And it turns the tables.
How so?
Well, you start by admitting you're not perfect, which everyone can relate to. But then you pivot to humorously saying, well, at least you're not them.
Like, yeah, I've got flaws, but compared to you.
Pretty much. It works because you're meeting their tease with a quick comeback that includes them in the joke, in a way. It's short 10 words. Easy.
And the idea that nobody's perfect kind of softens the blow. Makes it playful.
As long as the relationship and the tone are right, yes. It suggests you're just teasing back, not actually launching an attack.
So friend teases you about, I don't know, spilling coffee or forgetting keys at a party.
Yeah, something minor. You could grin, maybe nudge them and say that line. Usually gets a laugh. They know you're playing along. It stops their initial tease from feeling like a real sting.
Okay, good one for the friend zone. Now this next one. Sadly, it's something a lot of English learners might face.
I think I know where you're going.
It's for when someone's genuinely rude, maybe targets your accent, your pronunciation, says something like, just speak proper English.
Yeah, that's incredibly unfair, and it feels awful when it happens.
So how do you respond to that without getting defensive about your English skills?
Okay, this comeback is powerful because it does exactly that. It deflects. It highlights their rudeness, not your English. The line is, sorry, I don't speak rude.
Oh, I like that. Framing rude itself as a language.
Exactly. It implies their way of speaking, their rudeness, is something you just don't engage with. It's like saying, that language you're using, I don't understand it. It's unacceptable.
So you don't even get into defending your accent or whatever they picked on.
Nope. You're politely, but very firmly calling out their behavior. And it shows confidence, right? You're not flustered. You're calmly pointing out their inappropriateness.
So if some random person says something nasty about your English on the street,
instead of trying to justify yourself, you could just pause, make eye contact, stay calm, and deliver that line. Sorry, I don't speak rude.
and the effect.
Often it stops them cold. They weren't expecting that. It puts the focus back on their bad manners, makes them feel awkward.
Okay, powerful stuff. Last one, number 6. This one's about challenging someone who seems to be trying to undermine you.
Yeah. Again, probably best for friends or maybe like spirited debates, not your annual review.
Right. For when their insult or criticism just feels kind of weak, like they didn't even try hard.
Exactly. You challenge their effort. The comeback is super simple. Is that your best shot?
Short and sweet, or maybe not so sweet.
Depends on the delivery. But yeah, it immediately reframes what they said as an attempt to get under your skin or criticize you.
And by asking if that was their best effort.
You're implying it was kind of lame, weak,
Yeah.
It didn't land. It takes the power out of their comment because you're basically dismissing it as inadequate.
It sounds like a real confidence booster for the person saying it, too.
Mm.
Shows you're unfazed.
Totally. Imagine a colleague makes some lazy, passive-aggressive crack about your presentation, like, nice presentation, if you wanted everyone to fall asleep.
Ugh, okay.
Instead of defending the presentation, you could just give them a cool look and ask, is that your best shot? It suggests their comment wasn't even worth a proper response, and sometimes it reveals their insecurity.
These 6 are definitely useful tools to have, but it sounds like just knowing the words isn't enough.
Oh, absolutely not. Having the phrases is maybe half the battle. Using them well, that takes more.
Like what?
Well, sharp listening skills, for one, and mental agility. You need to process the situation really fast to pick the right comeback.
So it's not just hearing the words, but the tone, the context.
Exactly. Understanding the intention behind the comment. Is this person genuinely confused? Are they being slightly rude? Is it a clear interruption? Are they trying to sound superior? Are they just teasing? Or is it just a weak attempt at an insult?
Because each of those needs a different tool from the toolkit.
Precisely. That active listening skill helps you diagnose the situation quickly.
Okay, so listening is key. And then choosing the right response. That also depends massively on who you're talking to.
Right.
And where you are.
Oh, absolutely critical. That sarcastic line, sorry for talking while you were interrupted, could be hilarious with friends, but like career suicide with your CEO.
Yeah, probably not recommended.
And the formal one, your opinion is noted, now let's move on, is great for work, but might sound really cold or dismissive if you said it to a close friend who is genuinely trying to offer advice, even if clumsily.
Know your audience.
Always. And cultural context matters too, especially in diverse English-speaking places. What counts as acceptable teasing or directness can vary a lot.
Good point. And are there any lines you just shouldn't cross, even with jokes or comebacks?
Oh, definitely. You need to be super careful. Jabs about sensitive things, race, gender, religion, disability, even sometimes personal appearance are generally off limits. Humor has boundaries, and crossing them isn't witty, it's just hurtful.
So summing it up, listen carefully, read the room, know your audience, and have this little arsenal ready.
That's pretty much the strategy. It helps you handle those awkward social moments with way more confidence and grace in English.
This whole deep dive really highlights how being prepared makes such a difference. It's not about walking around expecting trouble.
No, not at all.
It's just about feeling equipped, feeling empowered to handle things smoothly when they do pop up unexpectedly.
Right. Mastering these quick reactions, it's really a mix of being mentally ready, training your brain to listen and respond fast, and having that curated set of phrases for different situations.
Practice the listening. Think about the context, the formality.
And you'll find yourself handling interruptions, rude comments, awkward moments much more easily.
So maybe use these 6 phrases we talked about as your starting point. Practice them in your head. Maybe try them out with a language partner.
Yeah, the goal isn't to be thinking about the perfect thing to say 2 days later when you're, I don't know, washing the dishes.
Yeah. The goal is having that response ready right then, in the moment, feeling confident.
Exactly that.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive on Chat Like a Native.
Great chat. Until next time.